Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Quero o Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero o manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estádio e assustá-los, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Dog Benfica Podcast. My name is Alfredo. Here we are, episode 570. With me, as always, Cristiano Oliveira. Como é que é, Cristiano? Hello. Dave's here as well. Dave, what's happening?
I'm here. Chris is speechless. He's here somewhere. But good to be back on, Alfredo.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about today here?
Nothing. We got nothing. We bring nothing to the table. We got nothing. Chris, you there? Almost. Welcome all the Freddies that are joining us. Manuel da Cunha, Josh Almeida, Brian Pires, Carlos Amaro, Bruno Gil Rodrigues. Fellas are joining us. Hope everybody's doing well on this Tuesday night. I know that both Chris and Dave are keeping an eye on the Yankees and the Blue Jays. There's Game 3 going on today, and looks like the Canadians are getting the best out of the Yankees. So expect Chris a little bit subdued, maybe. I don't know. Chris, how you doing? Still nothing.
Still speechless.
Yeah, I think he cut off his mic on purpose. Now he's gone. But yeah, here he is. Então, pá.
Oh, you guys are waiting for me?
Yeah.
Gosh, the matter is acting up. I don't know what's up. What's going
Started
on,
the
guys?
show. We're waiting for you.
Oh, you guys are the best.
Said hello to the Freddies. Said that
Smash the like button, Freddies.
The Blue Jays are beating the Yankees. You're going to be a little subdued tonight. I don't know. What else can we say? Not much.
Well, I'd say you guys could all fly a kite. You guys just like getting on my case, but I'll keep it clean. I'll keep it clean. Go fly a kite.
Good, man. Episode 500.
Where's Dave? Dave's here. Dave's the only one that
here.
He's the only one that can talk trash to me.
Dave's
nice. They got to take care of business first.
Yeah, Dave's nice. Dave's he's nice and quiet. Blue Jays are winning. Nice and quiet. Don't need to talk trash. No acabou, but you know how it is. Anyway, 570. We don't have much for you tonight. We got the Porto game, and much like the game, our podcast is probably going to be pretty boring. But here we are every night for you, or every Tuesday night for you. Just giving you our opinion. Hope everybody's well. Carlos, thank you. Hope you're well. You said you're well. You're welcome. Yeah. So here we are. Want to talk about it and shit shorties a little bit before we get into it, or let's just go get into it. What do you guys want to do? We got international break coming up.
Probably one of the few times where I'm glad international break has come. Gives us a little bit of a break from watching, letting us cleanse the palate from what we just seen on Sunday. So if there was ever a time for an international break, thank you, FIFA, for aligning with our hopes and how our season's going. Because can we just take a break until January, until the market opens up again, so we can go shopping for some wingers, some more attacking forwards? Because God, that was awful on Sunday.
Cristiano, your friend Gary B from California is here. Say hello to him. Cristiano tá fedido hoje, pá. It's not working.
Gary, what's up? I'm back. I'm trying to figure this shit out. What's up, Gary B? Oh, my boy Boris Nicaragua is here. Hola a toda gente. Manny the Cunha, Carlos, Carlitos, Miguel. I mean, all the Freddies. Josh Almeida. I'm ignoring some of his comments, but Josh, what's up? Welcome, Manny the Cunha. Smash the like button. Benfica Podcast. I mean, what's there to talk about? The boring ass game at the start. The Ladrón, the Dragón on Sunday at about midnight, or what do you guys want to talk about? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's not much that we could talk about, and the show will probably be as boring as that game, as I mentioned. But here we are. Let's see. You want to start? Or you want to bullshit a little bit?
We're never bored. We're never boring, Alfredo.
I know,
We're never boring.
especially
Don't
when
ever
you're
say
Boring
that.
than that game on Sunday, please. That's
Very
setting the
good.
bar
The
real
game on
low.
Sunday wasn't.
Oh, tá fudido, pá.
I'm sorry. Hugo knows
You
I'm
gotta
doing the
have to
podcast.
figure-
He knows we do the podcast every
you
Tuesday
gotta
night.
figure-
So what's he do? He starts calling me. I just don't understand. Can you guys hear me?
We're good. Yeah.
I hear you now,
No. Okay.
but
Can you hear me?
lately on these past couple podcasts, you've been a little bit underwhelming with your sound quality and your equipment.
He's good right now, though.
He is, until he's not.
Oh, we spoke too soon. He left. You scared him. You just had to scare him.
Fudido, pá. Tá fudido, pá. But anyway, let's get this started. Hopefully Benfica Cristiano joins here shortly. But yeah, I see a lot of comments already. Boris, I'm in the US. Nothing wrong with my internet, and Chris is back.
My internet. It wasn't my internet. It's dumbass Hugo that knows I'm recording a podcast for the last 20 years on Tuesday. So he's calling me to ask me if I'm watching the Rangers. I'm like, bro, what do you think I'm doing? I mean, Jesus Christ. We were saying, so yeah, the game on Sunday, it wasn't boring. And I'll tell you why it wasn't boring, at least for me. Because the juices were still flowing. I don't know about you guys, but I was still getting nervous. I understand that Benfica's not in their best moment at the minute. At the moment, that's just the best moment at the moment. But it was a game that still there was a lot on the line, and therefore I was still nervous. I still had the butterflies. Every time Porto had the ball, I'd get start being todo preocupado and shit in my pants. Because say what you want, it's a game that could have very easily put a huge dent on Benfica for the rest of the season, put a huge dent on us here on the podcast, put a huge dent on Benfica around the world. So, as I said on Twitter, you never want to celebrate a draw. You know me, I'm one of those the Benfiquistas that you guys criticize, these gents. I want Benfica to win at all costs, at all times, and go for a win. But there's times you just have to read the room and understand that. Right now, after having Mourinho take over the team about 2 weeks ago, whatnot, the team playing every 2-3 days, there hasn't been a lot of times for whether it's Mourinho or whomever you want to name the coach to implement their system. The players aren't rested. You look at this team; it's very limited. It's not deep at all. Porto was coming in on fire. They've won every game that they played so far this season. I allowed 2 goals, and one of those goals I believe was an own goal. So everything pointed to Benfica getting destroyed at Estádio do Dragão and having the season put out of reach. Obviously, still wouldn't have been over, but it would have been a huge mountain to climb, and it might still be at 4 points, but at least it allows you to still dream and to still believe. And so, never want to celebrate these types of draws, but considering the alternative, guys, walking away 7 points. I'll take that 4 point deficit and the butterflies. As long as the butterflies are still there for me, it's never going to be boring. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. No, and Chris, I think you said it perfectly right. A team who's been physically debilitated or physically drained, as Mourinho has mentioned, playing a lot of games. Some guys right at the limit in terms of what their physical capabilities are. And certainly, you get into this game with Porto having the season that they've had so far, and you're thinking the worst. You're thinking you could go down to 7. 7 is a huge mountain to climb, especially understanding how consistent Porto and Sporting have been this early in the season. Perhaps Sporting not so much now. The past couple games they've been a little bit rocky, or they've shaken up a little bit. I don't know. It's the context was definitely playing against Benfica, and I think that approaching this game, I thought that that Mourinho had the right approach, lined up with the strongest 11 that he has, with Truben in goal, Dedic, Silva, Otamendi, and Dal across the back, Barrenechea, Rios, Auschnes, Sudakov, Luke Bacchio, and Pavlidis completed the rest of the 11. But I certainly think that that you come into this game and look, you don't. It's never good when you come and play for a tie or not to lose, but certainly Benfica came in very conservative, had their homework done, blocked the players that could create danger or could create things for Porto. And I think at the end of the day, it's I don't want to say it was a masterclass by Mourinho, but it's something that's typical of Mourinho. He knew what he had to do. He knew he couldn't risk, and he just he set up the team well and hope that maybe Luka Bacchio could make something happen. Maybe Sudakov could make something happen. But really, the team stayed at home. Perhaps the best game I've seen Barrenechea and certainly Rios play in this game. But again, I think this game specifically suits Rios's playing style, or what we got him for, which is destroy game, build with the ball whenever you can, make the pass, don't risk too much, don't try to the fancy $1 million pass. Just play simple. Make sure you occupy spaces. Make sure you defend well. And I think that it was a really good game from Benfica's standpoint, understanding the context and understanding what we're up against. On the other side, I thought then, and look, I felt this a few times where Benfica has played Porto, and Benfica could have put the final touch on Porto in other seasons, and we weren't courageous enough to get that. And I think that when you look at this Porto team, I think that Farioli was maybe respected this Benfica team too much. I think with a 4-point lead, playing in front of your fans, you push a little further. He did say in his presser after the game that he was a little bit concerned that pressing a little forward was going to expose him in the back. But shit, I know you got the 4-point advantage, but you're playing in front of your fans. You've been playing really well. You haven't given up. You gave up one goal, which is an own goal, as Chris mentioned, and maybe you should have pushed a little more. I think that fans have every right. Porto feel let down in this result, and perhaps a little bit of a lack of balls from Farioli's part. Dave, I'll go to you. And how did you see this game?
Going into it, I also had the butterflies and the nerves, just knowing everything that was on the line going into this match. A loss really takes this season, gets the season off the rails, and seeing what we see right now from this club, I don't think we could overcome a 7-point deficit. But I would describe the match as methodical from both coaches' standpoints. Mourinho really showing what he's known for. Really solid defensively, structurally, and I think even at first the Porto side wanted to really see how Benfica was going to shape up, and you could tell in the first half that both these teams were kind of just feeling each other out, sizing each other up to see how they're going to play. But yeah, I think both teams kind of played. Porto definitely wanted to get the results, but I think they were satisfied by a draw as well. I think we were also lucky not to concede a goal too. They had a couple of chances that hit the post, I believe, was it Samu that did his best Brian Ruiz? No, it wasn't. It was Pepe that did his best Brian Ruiz impression there, skying that ball in the first half, where that could have easily gone into our net there. So I think we were fortunate not to concede any goals, but overall, I think it was a positive result, if we want to say it, just given how poorly our season's been going, that we didn't lose any ground. And Sporting and Braga also drew right before that this match started too. So it was almost like no ground was lost, no ground was gained. Just round of games in the books, and we move on to the next week.
Yeah,
I don't think it was a positive result. I think it was a necessary result. I think it's the result that the team needed at the moment. Because I never want to celebrate draw, especially this early in the season. But the team needed this. I think this will build some confidence as well going forward. Dave, before you said you're actually happy about the international break. I'm not. I think this team needs more Jose Mourinho in it. You know what I mean? Needs more time with Mo, needs more time on a practice field, needs to turn over the chip. I think the players' confidence has been shaken. And I think right now would have been great to have these guys together, especially after what many people took as a moral victory at Stamford Bridge, and then you come away with a draw against Porto, who had been, you know, impressive or whatever you want to call it against everybody that they played, and obviously all the pressure was on Benfica's side. So as I said, I think it was the result that the team needed, and we'll just hope that they're able to build off of this. I don't think Porto really did much with the ball. I think that they had huge chunks of the game where they had the ball on their feet and seemed like they were pressing all into our own half at whatnot at times. But I don't think they ever really created a chance. They had that one chance you're talking about that was a broken play. The ball fell to Pepe and he just spied it with his left foot. And then everybody keeps talking about the kid Rodrigo Mora, but let's not forget, had that went in, it was offsides. So I was actually screaming in my house. Hugo was at my house. I was actually screaming like, call the offsides. Call and Hugo was like, but it's offsides because he was clearly offsides. And now everybody's gonna be talking about that shit was a great opportunity when it shouldn't have counted. Call the damn offsides. I'm like, I'm hoping the referee raises his hand because now that shit actually went down as a stat and as a way to knock Benfica down a peg from a play that was a broken play and that would have never counted. So I don't think Porto did anything special. I don't think Benfica did anything special. I just think it was one of those checkmates. It was what it was. Players, Unigo or chess, whatever you want to call one another. And I think Porto on their side as well was like, hey man, we're still 4 points up. Sporting drew today as well. We don't really have to risk anything. Benfica's been tripping up against the small clubs, so we'll just continue doing what we're doing. Let Benfica continue doing what they're doing, and we're going to extend our lead. So why even risk it? Why even give these guys more gas and more confidence? I think there's a bunch of that involved, and so as I said before, not much going on, but boring. No, because Benfica Porto and Porto Benfica and the juices are always going to be flowing. But if you're a neutral fan, yeah, you probably came away from that game yawning, like, what the hell did I just waste 2 hours on? Especially, last point, especially with all the hype coming into the game.
And Chris, I think you bring up a great point. So the Stamford Bridge result wasn't a positive result, but we saw things from the team that we hadn't seen yet. A little bit more confident towards the end of the game. There was that push from Benfica. Then against Porto, certainly, it's hard to fathom that Jose Mourinho said, "Let's go in there and let's get a tie." But certainly, the idea was, let's go in there and not get exposed. Make sure that we see what's happening. Make sure that we close up things, and let's play our game, and maybe we'll get a goal. And I think that in terms of the team doing what they were supposed to do, what they were asked to do, or some of what maybe a secondary objective, considering that the first objective was perhaps not to give up any goals. The second objective would be to really lock it down, and maybe the third one would be let's get a win, which I don't think that was something that was pushed for too much. But you also got to think that at the end of the day, I think that Jose Mourinho has to be very happy with the way the players played, and the players themselves are happy that they were able to follow the directions and come out of the Dragon with the same point difference that they had going in, when everybody kind of was expecting that Benfica will go down 7. So I think that in a way, I think both the Stamford Bridge and this game really served to gain a little bit of momentum, and perhaps getting some of that confidence back that the players and this team has been missing. Like Chris said, we don't celebrate ties, or we don't have moral victories, and certainly I'm of that opinion as well. But at the end of the day, I think it's it's the players believe in the coach. It's the players following the instructions of the coach, and getting a result that, as Chris mentioned, the team needed. It wasn't necessarily um, what the team wanted, but certainly what the team needed in this juncture of the season. Um, so I agree. I agree. Let me see if we have some comments here. Yeah, go
Hey, I
ahead.
wanted to mention one, Alfredo. I wanted to mention one real quick by Carlos Amara because he reminded me of something. A great point by him. Hugo and I were here watching the game, and there was two plays in particular. Well, one I was screaming at, and you were screaming at the other. One was, as you mentioned, right before that play from, I believe, Rodrigo Mora, where he would have been offsides eventually. Benfica still hasn't learned from their mistakes last year. And now we've changed players, we've changed coaches, and they're still committing the same dumbass mistakes, which is Enzo Barrigashea should have fouled. Obviously, Rios couldn't have because he was already on a yellow. But as Porto's coming up the field, we still haven't
Yeah.
learned to commit a foul and stop the momentum and stop the play in its tracks. Podcast or the listeners here have to go and remind these guys and coach these guys in the locker room, remind them that it's okay to commit a foul, especially late in the game when the opposition has got momentum and they're coming and you're not all set up position defensively. So just asinine play by Benfica once again. We talk about how we sit here on this podcast and we understand the situation of the game, and apparently these players don't. And these are new players, new coaching staff, and they still haven't figured that out. And the other play that I was screaming at, was towards the very end on the potential penalty from Antonio Silva grabbing Ghoul or whatever his name is. And I was screaming the whole time, even if it wasn't a penalty, why in hell would Antonio Silva subject himself to that? Why hold a player knowing where you're playing, understanding you're on the road? There's VAR now. They're able to free stuff with different frames and whatnot. You have to be aware of the situation. You have to be smarter, guys. And this team is just seems like they're still biting themselves in the ass. And hopefully, along with the fouls, as I was talking about, the fouls that weren't committed in the middle, and then the Antonio Silva play. Hopefully, these guys over these next couple of weeks, Mourinho was able to watch tape and he's able to drill in these guys' heads that we simply can't commit these dumbass mistakes if we want to compete here.
Yeah, and one thing that Mourinho won't stand for is naivety. I think it was very naive that Enzo didn't commit that foul. Chris, as you mentioned, Antonio Silva understanding where he's playing, understanding what how that could have gone is very foolish and naive from the team, not understanding what the moment was. But Gary B is asking a question here: can Mourinho do anything with this squad? I don't know. I was talking to Dave before we came on, and struggling a little bit as we approach the last 20 minutes of that game, and understanding that Mourinho seems to have no confidence in terms of who's on the bench. Uh, and then I was telling Dave that a lot of times Cristiano says things, and then things come to fruition, or they come to prove themselves a couple of weeks later. And what Chris has mentioned is that this Benfica squad is not as good as people think it is. So certainly looking at this Benfica team, and Mourinho's options. I mean, he didn't make the first substitution until the 80th minute when he brought in Barreiro for forget who. Barreiro came in for Luque Bacchio, which was spent. Obviously, I'm surprised that he even went that long. Can Mourinho do something with this squad? It's tricky, right? Because I think from a European standpoint, I think the squad is short from a European standpoint. I think you got a good core of maybe 12, 13 players that are good, that could be interchanged. But after that, you got the young kids that lack confidence. They're unproven. They need playing time to gain that confidence. You got a left wing that Skeldrup is not your guy. You got a Dahl on the left that sometimes, he's perhaps not he's good for the Portuguese league, but maybe at a European level, maybe he's not as good as we think that he is. So it's difficult to say on whether Mourinho can do something with this team. I think that if you reach January still very close, I think that there's a good chance that you pick up a guy, couple surgical pickups of guys that we're going to need to fill these positions that Mourinho will, I'm sure has already identified as needs. But yeah, Chris, what's your thought on Mourinho?
I Yeah, time will tell. He's gonna need time. Whatever it is, he's gonna aggravate a lot of people, whatnot, but he's gonna need time. We'll see what happens with the elections, with the if a new president comes in or not. There's so much going on, guys. At the end of the day, Mourinho's gonna need time. He hopefully we are able to keep it close between now and January, and then maybe he could do a little something, something. But even if it's not this year, he's gonna need time. Give him time, and he'll figure it out. And I think this team will be better off in the end. I just wanted to mention. It seems like one of Antonio Silva's family members is on the chat, and he's getting all uptight about the comment I made about Antonio Silva. I don't know if I don't think I stated this. I don't think I said this. Maybe he heard it. Maybe he's hearing things. I at no point did I say Antonio Silva played bad. At no point. As a matter of fact, Mr. Sneaky, just so you know, when you go ask me after the game, and it hasn't gotten to this point, and I'll say it now. When you ask me after the game, my player of the match, I actually mentioned Antonio Silva was my player of the match. He had a couple of crucial plays, a couple of crucial interceptions that I think things could have gotten real hairy, and the kid stepped up and he did what he had to do. Now, that doesn't mean I can't criticize him for a bonehead play. I mean, you're getting all uptight, dude. Just simmer down. Otamendi commits mistakes, and when he does, I rag on him as well. I was that one was, and by the way, that Pepe stuff now brings back to mind. It was a bad clearance with the left foot from Otamendi, and Benfica got lucky on that one. But I'm talking about in terms of where we're playing, the history of what goes on in that stadium, and calls against us over and over. Antonio Silva has to be smarter. And when you want to come at me talking about being a young player, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. And Dave, you can look up the stats. He might be a young player in his age, but this is a guy that's made over 200 appearances, I believe, for Sport Lisboa Benfica. So we're not talking about a kid that just showed up last week, and we're getting on his case. At the end of the day, he's had more than enough experience, and he's a guy that grew up in Portugal, understands the rivalry, understands what goes on in Portuguese football. So, excuse me.
Yeah, I
Okay?
know,
Oh,
I
by the
know.
way,
Shut
Aaron
your
Judge,
mouth.
three-run
I
homer.
already just saw it here.
And so, just because I criticize one particular play, Sneaky, I am not ragging on a guy. I'm not saying run him out the door. He sucks. None of that. As a matter of fact, I think I'm one of the very few guys publicly on these podcasts, because I listen to a lot of Benfica podcasts. And Alfredo's definitely been on that bandwagon. I'm not sure about Dave, to be honest. And I'm not trying to save Dave here, but I'm not sure. I don't remember what David said. But I've heard on plenty of other podcasts, Sneaky, that Antonio Silva should be benched for Araújo, and I'm like one of the few, if not the only one, that keeps saying, "Why? What's Silva done to warrant being benched for Araújo?" So just temos que ter calma de vez em quando, bro. It's okay to criticize our own players, young, old, or in the middle. When they do dumb things, they do dumb things. That's the way I am. I don't know if you listen to the podcast often or not, but I call out whoever I got to call out when I feel the need to call them out. And with that being said, he was still my man of the
Yeah,
Made
match.
154 appearances so far.
Okay, I don't know. I could have sworn. I don't know why I saw 200. Okay,
but
whatever,
I'll give you
150
this
still a lot.
context, right? Because Benfica is used to playing from the back, and I think that playing from the back requires a center back to have a good set of passing skills. And I think that when you compare Antonio Silva with Araújo, Araújo is much better with his feet, is much better in finding that pass than Silva is. Now, when you look at the context of this game, and at some point when Mourinho realized that Porto was going to press high, how many times did Trubin actually was the one that launched balls that didn't start off the back? So when you take that element of building out of the back out, then now that's Antonio Silva's game. If Antonio Silva has to build up a pass,
And I do agree. And I do, Alfredo, I do agree that Antonio Silva struggled lately with that in particular, playing out the back. And that's why during that game, that's the one thing I think I criticized Mourinho for was I don't understand why Benfica's trying to play out the back. Yo, listen, out of sight, out of mind. Get the ball up for because we shot our pants a couple of times. We couldn't deal with their press. And right now, say what you want, right? And Sneaky, you might want to cover your ears now. Antonio Silva's his confidence has been shaken for a little bit now. Okay, it's not just today. Even though today on Sunday, even though, like I said, to me, I choose him as my man of the match because of the interceptions he had in the middle of the field that I think could have sprung guys on breakaways or through on goal, and so therefore I give the kid the man of the match. But he's been struggling at times, and in particular coming out the back and understanding all this and knowing the press that Farioli is going to apply and whatnot. Why come out the back when you don't have those players right now, man? Dahl had a decent game, but he struggled with the ball at his feet at times. Dedic had his ups and downs. Like, to me, he was not the man of the match. I love Dedic, but at times he must think he's Diego Armando Maradona or whatever. He just loves to try to take 6 touches too many. You know what I mean? And we did not do good with coming out the ball. Coming out. So I just even the corner, the goal kicks, I should say. I understand. I mean, but then again, look, they came away with a 0-0 draw. It wasn't the worst result in the world, but I thought Benfica was putting themselves under pressure when they really had no reason to. Old school football still gets things done. Not everybody has to be Pep Guardiola and come out with the ball and playing jogo bonito. It's okay. You have to understand the moment. And Mourinho obviously understood the moment. That being said, get that shit out of here, bro.
no, I mean it's important, and how many times have we talked about former coaches here that they're looking at the game and they can't make a read on the game, and I thought that was perfect on Mourinho when he realized that Porto was going to press high. Hey, let's launch these balls. Trubin has a foot, he could play. Launch him. Why are you going to put ourselves in a position where we're going to turn it over? But it's look. I think at the end of the day, we definitely need to come out of this game a lot more happier than Porto fans, and I think as Benfiquistas, I think we all are, because it could have been a lot worse.
So wait, Mr. Sneaky's criticizing me for criticizing Antonio Silva, but he also said I also prefer Araújo. So wait, I'm the only guy that defends Araújo, but then I'm the one that I don't the question, man. But it's all good, Sneaky. Listen, I talk loud, bro. I'm not uptight. I talk loud. It is what it is. This is who I am. You're entitled to your opinion. I respect it. That's cool. But I wasn't knocking the player, man. I was knocking the play.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
No,
was knocking the
I
play.
think the
I didn't
play
like what he
in
did at that
years
moment.
past, maybe that gets called, man. And then we look at him and said, "Kid fucked up." And it certainly could have gone that way.
I mean, we have kids. We tell our kids they fucked up.
Yeah.
I still love them. You know what I mean? It's okay to tell kids that they
Yeah.
fucked up. Still love the kids.
Yeah. I've seen several commentary on the penalty from Silva, right? And at first look, yes, there's a tug, but then there's also they're both vying for the ball. I think it's not as clear cut as a lot of Portistas and a lot of Sportingistas are making it out to seem. Like I said, vying for the ball. Antonio Silva's got a bag, got a handful of jersey, and as Chris mentioned, understanding where you're playing, understanding the past history, understanding all of the history in Portuguese football the past 30 years, that could have been very well called. And you're down. You're down for the count, especially that late.
Absolutely, and that would have put a stain on not a terrific performance, but a stain on a good enough performance to get away from there and still be alive. Imagine, what would have happened if they went to VAR and they called that penalty. If Sneaky thinks I'm being unfair by mentioning that play, imagine what would have. I think a lot of people would have been ripping the kid, and then you talk about a lot more pressure on top of him. That's all I'm saying. These guys have to understand where they're at. You know what I mean? The situation of the game too. That was towards. It was right at the end of the game. You have to know that you're at a place with tremendous amount of pressure on the refereeing, all the circus going on in Portuguese football outside of the field itself, man. Like if they call that penalty, I'm just being honest. I wouldn't have been
No, not
shocked.
at all.
You know what I mean? And I wouldn't have been pissed off. I would have been pissed off at Antonio Silva for not being better there. And when I criticize, because I expect better from him. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to
Sneaky
grab the
saying,
player there. You know what
Sneaky
I'm trying
saying,
to
I
say?
criticize you to demand more from Antonio when than Otamendi.
But we didn't talk about
We're
Otamendi.
talking
We're
about the
talking
one
about
play.
that one play. You want to? Yeah, we're talking about. I brought up that one play because again, that play could have very well changed the whole outcome of the
Yeah,
game. That's all I'm saying. It's not the player, and as a matter of fact, I defend him. I want him to play. You don't. So I
We're talking
mean,
about
I don't know what to
like
tell
a
you.
potential missed call there too, but there was I think Porto got the benefit of the
you talking about the
refereeing.
handball?
Not even the handball, but there were a lot of aggressive challenges that weren't even called,
I didn't
and
think that was
no
a
no
handball. I
cards
didn't.
to that.
I mean, that step by
Yeah,
what's his name? Varela, Valera, whatever. That's a. I mean, come on, bro. And he had already
Yeah,
committed fouls previously, Dave, that warranted yellows. So they gotta wait. Listen, in a game like this, fast-paced game, whatever, there's gonna be calls here and there, but that's a clear step. We saw last year, very first game of the season, Peter Musa and Boavista steps on a guy unintentionally. He gets a red card. You can't tell me that Varela, and then there's video on it that Varela is clearly looking down at his heel, and he stomps on his Achilles. Come on, bro. That's unacceptable. You know what I mean? So
no, go ahead, finish that. No, I was just gonna say that
go ahead.
this
No, that was it. That was it.
it was good to have the 1 year break where we had a softer Porto side, and but we didn't come across those ugly challenges last year in our meetings with them, but it looks like they're back to their strength in their fouls that way. So yeah, it could have gone that Silva call could have gone either way, but I think Porto still was the main beneficiary of the calls or lack of calls from the referee on Sunday.
yeah. Look,
Alfredo, don't ask that Gary B question because I don't have time.
Gary B, Chris, that's
Say-
the whole squad, or most of the squad. Gary B is
I don't
asking
have
you
time
who
to sit
the
here and name
squad
them
do you
all.
think is overrated. I mean,
Might be
there's-
easier to go under who's underrated right now.
Yeah, there's quite a few players, and if you follow our podcast on a regular basis, you know what Chris's feelings are on that.
It's a very, very limited, very. I mean, considering the 136 mils, it's very limited, man, and it's scary when we're playing a game against our number one rival and you got nobody coming off the bench. I mean, Mourinho waited as long as he could to even touch, and the three substitutions he made were three defensive. Well, I don't want to call Rego's defensive, but he was
He
there to
was there to
run.
chase.
Basically, that was it. It Yeah, the chase. That was it. There's not. I mean, very limited. Nobody to really come up. And the one thing that's shocking, and if that is not, I don't even want to get into politics, right? I don't want to get into presidential stuff. But if that is not a knock on the decision makers, right? Where you spend 28 million on a striker in the game where Pavlidis is clearly exhausted, and you
Gustavo
don't bring
went,
that player
Chris.
in. What's that say
Mourinho
about
said the
that
guy was
player?
sick.
I think, listen, me and you had that conversation. If he was sick, he wouldn't have been in uniform on the bench. He wouldn't have been next to the rest of his teammates, making everybody sick. Look, I think it's easy to say he's sick because then the conversation will
Yeah,
come. There's no controversy. There's nobody saying what I'm saying. You spend 28 mil on a
yeah,
guy that can come off your bench. That just puts an end to, oh, he's sick. Oh, okay. But wait, but nobody asked him. He's sick. So he was
yeah,
on the field. I mean, no warm up in shorts and short sleeve shirt with the rest of his teammates walking around the field. I mean, you ever know anybody that's sick to be around his team? Like, you keep him at home. And I get it. You could tell me, well, he was there, to disguise as a threat. And what? I'll give you
yeah,
2%. You know what I mean? Because if you're not ready,
yeah,
you don't play. And so I think it's just easy to say he's sick, and then the controversy, nobody's
yeah.
talking about it, and
Carlos
end of story. But
Braz is
very
saying we
limited
need
bench.
creativity. We must play with Sheldrup, Prestiani, and Rego. Carlos, Mourinho's already been very vocal in public,
I think he's joking.
very
I
public
think
about
he's joking.
Sheldrup.
I think he's
Sheldrup lacks the intensity. Sheldrup can't play 90 minutes. Yes, he could offer you some creativity, but he's at this point, and when you look at Sheldrup, he doesn't seem to be the player to play at that has enough caliber to play at Benfica. To me, at least, Prestiani, I don't think we've seen as much Prestiani as we've seen in Sheldrup. So maybe Prestiani needs a little bit more time. And Rego is super green. The talent is there.
there's a difference between Prestiani and Sheldon. Difference is, well, first, both of them, as I said last year and the year before, they both should have been loaned out to a club in the Portuguese league to where they play every minute of every game where they're important, right? Those guys need rotation. And then the other difference, the difference between the two of them is one might be more talented with the ball on his feet, Sheldon, but the other guy definitely
Yeah, more.
plays with more effort
Yeah,
and more intensity. And so at the end of the day, they both need to rotate and go get minutes somewhere else. But today they're very raw. They're very green. They're good for some games, but games like this, pressure packed situations where you need difference makers. You know, um, it's not a coincidence, guys, that Benfica plays against Boca Juniors in the Club World Cup, and Brun Lage doesn't put him in the game because he thinks the guy's
shit
gonna,
his pants.
due
Yeah,
to his pants. Yes. And then you switch coach, bring in a new coach, you go into the dugout, and again the coach gets the same read, doesn't play him in that situation. Where Benfica needed freshness on the field at that time, but Mourinho said, you know what, I'll stick with the guys that are tired rather than bring these kids in and potentially um you know, sting up the place. And not just that, then mentally and confidence wise, it was just, kill a player. So but those players need to rotate, and Benfica needs to do better. João Rego's a player, another one. He's not ready to play at Benfica today. But right now,
yeah,
somebody's got to play. I mean, you only have two guys on the bench, which, well, Barreiro, which is what it is, and then Ivanovic. If he didn't play because he was sick, okay, that's two. What about the rest of the guys? You know what I mean? You need Manu back, you need Bob back, but those are two defensive guys. They're not going to score many goals. Um, so yeah, Benfica
yeah,
needs to figure something out.
yeah.
They need to go out and,
Sneaky
and do
saying
something.
João Neves and Felix needed several games to show what they had. Does Sheldrup? Our kids on the bench never saw a player having performance. How many times has Sheldrup played 90 minutes? Mourinho said that he can't play 90 minutes. Sneaky.
Oh, espera aí, foda-se. Felix and Neves, come on. I mean, these guys got. Oh my, Sheldon
Dave,
played a
how much
lot.
has Sheldrup played?
It,
Dave,
it, it didn't it didn't take João Neves. João Neves, remember, he came in at the end of the season for 2 months, and
Didn't
he was
get a lot
playing
of
as.
time, Sean
Remember, he's
Neves,
coming in the
when he
88th
first came on.
minute. No, he got a little time, but he was coming on. He was coming on as that 92nd minute substitute in the Champions League, right? The last 2 months of the season. Then the next year he started as a starter. João Felix played like 2-3 games, was a starter. Sheldrop's been here for 3 years.
How many
He's made
games is
40 appearances
Special-
for him in about 1,500 minutes last season, and then this season
Just
he's already
last
made
season.
12
Exactly. I mean, come on.
played in 12 matches and over 600 minutes here. So
Look, the kid has flashes, but that's all he's shown so far. He hasn't shown consistency, lacks intensity, does a very bad job tracking back, defending, and like I understand, and a lot of times this is what coaches see, lacking intensity, which is something that you don't have with Prestiani. Prestiani has a lot of intensity, puts it in a lot of effort. You look at Sheldrup, and Sheldrup just going through the motions, man. And this is not a session to beat up on players. It's just looking at the things that we see from a distance.
It, it, it it's not a beating up on players. It's we're falling into the trap of etus cracks. I mean, listen, decent players, guys. To play a Sport Lisboa Benfica takes a special player. The jersey pesa muito, não é para qualquer um. And them kids, in particular, Sheldrup. Sheldrup has had more than enough occasions, enough opportunities to show. And to mention João Neves and João Felix, I mean, come on, put them more those. Those guys, they exuded, tinham perfume de futebol, bro. Those guys, you'd see them on the field, you knew it was a matter of time. I haven't seen any of these kids to the point where I'm like, man, these guys are coming, bro. I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. I'm just going off of my
Yeah.
eye. I haven't seen that yet. I'm not convinced by any of these guys. By the way, good to see Aussie
We hadn't seen him
Benfica here,
I
all the
hadn't
way
seen him in
over
a
from
while.
Australia, and he says Perstiani can't get game time at under whatever age, under 21, I believe, or under 20. Then again, you're right. He can't get any minutes. But we're talking about the Argentinian national team. We're not exactly talking about, Our Lady of Fatima national team. It's
Lady of Fatima.
it's Argentina. You know what I mean? That's got pretty short kids that are phenomenal prospects, kids that probably play a lot more than Cristiani does on their own clubs. So
Yeah, look, the kids need time. The kids need time to come into the team. The kids need time to assimilate the processes, to make sure that the shirt's not too heavy. They need time, man. We can't rush these kids because at the end of the day, if you're rushing these kids, you're doing them a disservice because you're going to end up burning them, and you're going to end up burning them for good. They're going to end up playing as
but
Juli
Alfredo,
Sent or
I
Roca.
disagree. But Alfredo, I disagree even with that thought process. And I know I'm a hard headed mother. I understand. I'm a pain in the ass. But I mean, all this conversation, and you got to go all the way back to Bernardo Silva and João Cancelo. What players have been at Benfica that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe these guys aren't getting minutes, and they went elsewhere and they've been. We'd heard that about Thiago Dantas. I mean, so many players. Oh my God, I can't believe these kids aren't playing. Well, they didn't play at Benfica. They didn't play anywhere else, man. I mean, they don't. There's a reason why they don't play. What players has Benfica missed out on? There, you're like, man, I can't believe these guys didn't play while they were here. Who am I missing? Maybe I'm missing one, but who? I don't recall. Help me out.
And the thing would obviously use two good examples, João Cancelo and Bernardo Silva. But you look at Benfica's team when these kids were coming up. Benfica's team was strong, man. Where were these kids going to play on those teams? It was tough.
Who are you talking about? Those guys? Yeah,
Cancelo
I get it.
and Bernardo.
But fine. But Cancelo and Bernardo was dirty. Exactly. That's always been my argument. Where are you going to play those guys? But you got to go back 15 years for that. I'm talking about of the latest batch in the last 5-6 years, right? The Campeões, Champions League champions, under 19, whatever. Which guy has not played at Benfica? Which guy has Benfica burned? That these guys went on to go to other clubs, and you're like, man, what a tremendous player. There's one. And I'm trying to check the chat. And I'm trying to check the chat, and nobody's even mentioned them.
The only guy that I could think of that could be a far stretch, but the only guy that I can think of is Jota, but that's at Celtic. and
No,
hasn't
but
done anything
we're
since.
talking
what's
about
he done? Well, no,
the
but what's
batch
Jota?
that
No, but
won
even Jota,
the
Alfredo, what's
nothing.
Jota done, Dave, the last 2 years? Have you
He
heard of
hasn't
him?
done nothing. Fuck all.
Okay,
That's why I said it's
okay.
a stretch. That's the
No,
only
there's
guy that I
only
could think
one.
of.
There's only one, and nobody's mentioned them. I'm looking at the chat because I'm trying to give
Yankees
everybody.
7-6.
I didn't want to
Fucking
mention it. I
Dave.
didn't want to mention it. There's one that's gone out. Benfica let go on a freebie. Okay, a player that I saw play on the national team, and I was like, I don't watch under 19 games. I don't watch B team games. This kid's all right. Right? I never predicted he'd be as good as he is now. I said this kid's all right. And then Benfica lets him go on a freebie, and I'm like, oh, maybe the kid wasn't good after all. And then he's gone on and he's freaking scoring 30, 40 goals a year, Bayern Munich, and everybody and their mother wants to buy him. And that's
Who's
the
this,
kid,
Chris?
I don't know his name, bro. Jew? I forget his name. He's playing at like Midland, whatever. I forget his name. A striker. He played on Benfica B.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
I forget his
He has a
name.
weird name. He has a weird name.
Yeah, yeah. Feijoada is Svilar. Yeah, Svilar, but he left on a free. You know what I mean? Svilar said, "Let me go get paid," and he went over there. But yeah, Svilar was young, and by the way, Feijoada, at goalies is totally different. At goalie,
Yeah, goalies
it's
develop
different
later.
beast. Yeah, goalies develop a lot
Okay,
later.
look, I'm all for betting on the
What's
kids
the
for
guy
fish.
name? What's the guy's name? Let me.
Franklino
Yeah,
Jew or
Franklin
something?
Jew. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Franklin Jew. That kid's been tearing it up. That's the one kid that's left Benfica, and he's taking it to a whole new level. And that club, his club, Michelin, rejected like 40 million from Bayern Munich just this summer, and there's like the big sharks are all swirling in around them. But the rest of the guy, I can't think of another guy that left Benfica, and you're like, man. I mean, the only one is Ron Evans, right? He left for 60 mil, which is kind of like on a free. Feel bad, but we all knew that kid's a crack. But what are the kids? There just
yeah.
haven't been a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
just the kids need time, man. I'm all for it. Tapping into the look, and when you're good, you're good. Tapping in,
again,
you
Alfred, you
gotta.
didn't hear me. You didn't hear me, but it's not time, brother. If you're good, you're good. Because like I said, those kids have all left and they've had time at their clubs and they've never developed to the level that everybody thought. So it's not time, Alfred. It's what I always say. If you're good, people will find out you're good, bro. You know what I mean? You will force yourself onto the field. There is no player I want to think right now that's 19, 17 at Benfica. That is next level. That Benfica is holding out of the lineup right now. I can't think of a player.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's about your quality. It's not about age. It's quality. You got quality, your coach will play. And especially in Portugal, where they're starving to develop the next kid so they could sell them for the next $100 million. Trust me, they're not going to keep those kids on the sidelines. They all want to develop those guys ASAP because that's the next meal ticket.
yeah.
I don't know who's. I don't know if you guys either have time, but what's going on with the B team this season? Look like they might get relegated to the third division, or anybody been paying attention?
No, I haven't. I don't know. I don't even know where they are on the table. But Dave, give us some stats so we could get out of here. We had nothing to talk about. It's 53 minutes in. For this.
Well, we only had 4 shots total against Porto past Sunday. That was the worst record for us in the last 7 seasons. Only 4 shots, and the one on target came from a Sudakov free kick. I believe that was in the first half, if I'm not mistaken there. And then in the last 2 Clásicos between Benfica and Sporting and Porto Benfica here, we've only had 1 shot on goal for both matches. So 1 shot on this game on target, that Sudakov free kick, and the other one against Sporting at the end of last season was the Artukoglu goal there. So not too many shots on targets in a small sample size against our 2 biggest rivals here.
Yeah. Look at like you said, like we've been saying. At the end of the day, I think that was the lesser of 2 evils that we got in this game, and I'm perfectly happy with it. Still within arm's reach. Tie at the Dragão is a tie at the Dragão. Now we have a a chance to kind of swing things in our favor when we play at Estádio Luz, when we play Porto Estádio Luz. But anyway, we got the international break coming up. Mourinho's decided to give players a 5-day rest because most of the players are gone anyway. When we're back, we will play Desportivo de Chaves for the Taça de Portugal on the 17th, if I'm not mistaken. And then we got
Sheldrup will play then, and then we'll see how things go. Sheldrup will
Hey,
play all those other
Chaves
guys.
is at the top of the table in the second
division.
It's not an easy game.
No,
not
we got a tough draw for the first.
Yeah, we did for the first.
Maybe
Sheldrup
doesn't play after all. Never mind.
No, but and then we got Newcastle on the 21st, a game that if Benfica doesn't win, we could say goodbye to the Champions League. And look, I'm obviously not pulling for it, but maybe understanding some of the shortcomings of this squad, maybe that's maybe we need to concentrate domestically because should have won that game against Qarabag. We would have been in a much better spot by now. But yeah. But look, I think this season is going to be trying at times. It's not going to be the easiest season. There's going to be a lot of games that we're going to pull it out. There's a lot of games that we're going to suffer until the end. There's a lot of games that Trubin will be wasting time. But hopefully showing a little bit of momentum and a little bit of more confidence. Maybe Mourinho could rally these guys, and maybe we could put a decent run together domestically. Because I think the Champions League, is a little bit out of our reach.
You take it game by game, Alfredo. You win a game, you make $3 million. Game by game. Right. That's it.
But you lose to Newcastle, I think you're practically out of it because then you still need to make 10, 11 points to make it to the next round. But I think it's going to be very hard considering the opposition that we got coming up. Real Madrid, other teams.
Bro, we're not losing to Nuke. We got the great Ivanovic, bro. Phenomenal signing. Phenomenal, one of the best. He's gonna come to life over there at I forgot the name of the stadium. God damn it again.
St.
James Park. Yeah, exactly. St. James.
Yeah. All right, guys. Always a pleasure. Let's get out of here. 57 minutes.
Benfica.
Thank you very much. Sneaky, we love you, man. Come back again.
Yeah, Sneaky. All that. And there was also a guy, Middle Life Crisis Rants. He's from
San Diego.
From San Diego. The Benfiquistas, man. We appreciate all you guys listening. Even
course,
that guy
brother.
even Carlos Amato. We appreciate that. But no, it's always nice to chat with you guys. Look, we could all bounce opinions off of one another. It is what it is. Thumbs up Benfica. It's a pleasure of ours to come on here week after week, even when things are down. But we do it for you guys. We love the interaction.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Smash the like button, and hopefully the young kids do pan out someday. I don't know. Before I'm too old. I don't know.
Take care, you guys. See you again next week. Next week, you know what we're gonna do, Chris? We're gonna do the react to the Mantega's interview by BE.
Next week, international break, bro. I'm going to Ibiza. International break. Então.
Vamos ver. All right, everybody.
We could do that. Manteiga
Talk
stuff.
to you guys later. Have a great week. Carrega Benfica.
Carrega.